think it's safe to say that GL.iNet has been the go-to brand for travel routers for the past few years, but a few months ago, Ubiquiti threw their hat into the ring with their version of a travel router. So does that spell the end for GL.iNet? Surely the mighty Ubiquiti has made something so great here that I'll have no choice but to recommend it using my affiliate link down below. Right? Not so fast. While these are both travel routers who, at the end of the day, allow you to bring a secure network connection and VPN access with you, they definitely have different users in mind. Okay, right away, let's talk about the most important things: price and specs. The UniFi travel router is a Wi-Fi 5 router with 2 gigabit RJ45 ports and 2 USB ports for $80, while the GL.iNet Barrel AX is a Wi-Fi 6 router with a 2.5 gig port, a 1 gig port, and 2 USB ports for $90. Right away, you've probably noticed that on paper, the Barrel AX is a much more capable device with its 2.5 gig WAN port and faster Wi-Fi, which is true, but we'll have to see what the actual numbers are later on. In terms of price, I'd say it's a wash. $10 really shouldn't swing you one way or the other, but one thing to mention is that GL.iNet has many other travel router options that are even higher spec than this one. I chose the Barrel AX specifically because it was the closest in price and features to the UniFi option. In terms of actual size of the units, the UniFi is insanely compact. Like, when I first started using these GL.iNet devices, I was blown away at how small they were, but the UniFi travel router makes these things seem gigantic. How much you actually care about the size difference is up to you. Personally, I don't see the Barrel being so big that it's a problem for anybody, but who knows? Now, the most important thing to note is how much of it can we fit into our mouths? Like, close to 50%. I don't even know. I've never done this before. That was like 15%. Okay, no shot that's making it into the final version of the video. Build quality on both of these feels great. They're both made from high quality plastics with a smooth feel, and in the hand feel like premium products. And those of you with a keen eye may have noticed the little screen on the UniFi device, which can give you some information about connection status and other network stuff. While the Barrel AX doesn't have this, some of their newer models are coming with screens, even of the touchscreen flavor, so do whatever you want with that info. Now, with the Barrel, you will see something that the UniFi doesn't have, and that is external antennas. Now, does this have an effect on performance? Find out in the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. So before we dive into the software and performance, which is probably the most important part, it should be noted that both of these devices have the same 3 options for getting an internet connection: directly from a network cable, tethering via USB, or Wi-Fi tethering, which is almost like a repeater. Yeah, so that's the hardware. Time to talk about the software, and this is where we start to see these two similar devices distance themselves from each other. I would say that both are pretty easy to set up, but the benefit you have with the UniFi device is that if you already have a UniFi network set up at home and the app is installed on your phone, the setup is legitimately like a 10-second process. It automatically finds it and you can just click a button to connect. From there, you can have it mimic the Wi-Fi settings directly from your home network, which is nice for when you travel, that all your devices will have the network connection saved and ready to connect. And if you go this route, it'll automatically create a teleport VPN connection back to your home network too. So when you travel, you have the same Wi-Fi and you should be able to access all your devices as if you were back home. All this with, I think, like 3 button clicks. It's actually insane how convenient this is. Now, if you don't already have UniFi network at your house, then you're not going to reap these benefits, and I'd wonder why your first UniFi purchase was their travel router, but it'll still work with manual configurations. Now, the setup for the Barrel, while still pretty easy, is definitely a bit more involved. You'll access the device's UI via a web browser and navigate through their setup wizard, which has you setting passwords, updating Wi-Fi, all that kinds of stuff. Once you're in, you'll have to then configure your VPN connection manually as well. While that may sound like the worst thing in the world, I don't think it's that bad, since they do give you the option to create both a VPN server and VPN client connections, meaning that it can function as a VPN client back to your home network just like the UniFi, but it can also host its own VPN server to where other devices can connect directly to your device that you're traveling with. Each has its different use cases, but it's nice to have both options. As for the VPN client setup, you have a few options, and depending on what your VPN server is running, you should just be able to drop in a config file and hit connect. At this point, both of our devices are ready to hit the road and will allow us to automatically connect back to our home network from anywhere in the world with an internet connection. I should mention here that both of these can be powered by a regular old USB power bank, and during normal use, both the UniFi and the Barrel AX were drawing around 3 watts, which I'm definitely not complaining about. And now that we've talked about the most basic functionality of a travel router, let's get into additional features. I'll say it right now, the UniFi doesn't have too many more tricks up its sleeve, while I can and have done multiple videos on all the different features of these GL.iNet routers who are running a custom version of OpenWRT. The UniFi has your basic DHCP and Wi-Fi settings, along with the ability to add a WiredGuard VPN client, but I mean, that's really it. The thing is though, for a lot of people, that's all they need when traveling, and Ubiquiti knows this. This thing reminds me so much of their UNAS products, where they're designed to be simple NAS setups, which in a world where every other NAS does virtualization, Docker, and has its own app store, is quite evident that they are releasing products for specific purposes with the goal of simplicity. And considering their pricing is very aggressive on both these and the travel router, that's a pretty good marketing strategy. I think. I'm not a marketing person. But what about the Barrel? Outside of the basic stuff like a dashboard, DHCP settings, and Wi-Fi, we also get the ability to easily limit individual client bandwidth. We have multiple WAN setups for load balancing and failover. AdGuard is built in if you want to enable that. We get port forwarding and NAT configurations, the ability to use this as a storage server using a USB drive with external storage, and a whole plugin section that can greatly expand the capabilities of this router. I even showed in another video how I got Docker set up and running, so yes, it's very obvious that the GL.iNet router has way more features than the UniFi travel router, but what about performance, the thing that actually matters for most people? I did a pretty basic test where I stood right next to each of these routers and did a speed test with my iPhone 16 Pro. The UniFi performed pretty well with 170 megabits per second down and 140 up. Not gonna melt your face, but that's plenty for a Wi-Fi connection while traveling. Just for comparison, my iPhone gets around 800 megabits per second from my normal home Wi-Fi setup. Switching to the Barrel AX, we were getting 520 megabits per second down and 368 up. That is significantly faster and is honestly up there with your standard home router setups. In terms of VPN speeds, I tested WiredGuard on the Barrel and Teleport on the UniFi and saw around 162 megabits per second on the UniFi and around 350 on the Barrel. The thing you need to ask yourself here is if that matters.
Duh, Brett, of course speed matters.
Yeah, but think about it. When you're traveling, how often are you even going to have access to WAN speeds over 100 to 200 megabits per second? I guess it depends, like on an airplane or in a congested cellular area, and in most hotels, probably not often, but in Airbnbs or areas with high-speed cellular, you may have access to speeds closer to 1 gig. What I'm saying is that everyone's use case may be different. So, with all that said, which one should you get? I'd say if you're already part of the UniFi ecosystem and want something brain dead simple, then UniFi Travel Router is awesome. If you're more of a tinkerer and want more flexibility over your travel network and more features, then the GL.iNet products are probably the way to go. I can honestly say that I don't think there is a wrong choice here, since both of these products are great. I would like to see UniFi release a Pro model with at least Wi-Fi 6, maybe 7, and possibly 2.5 gig ports. I think that would give users the options they want within the UniFi ecosystem and wouldn't force people who want optimal performance to GL.iNet. As for the Barrel, I mean, overall, it's awesome. The only real thing I can think of is that now they have to make it smaller since the UniFi came in with this tiny boy, but yeah, maybe lower the price. I don't know. I think they're pretty fair currently. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments. But that's all for this one. Drop a like if you like this and subscribe if you want to see more networking stuff. want to give a huge shout out to my YouTube members and my Patreons. You guys are my travel network router that has 10 gig Wi-Fi 8 and is from the future. Y'all are the best. And if you're still watching, you're a hotspot. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.